Woo! 500 damage. That was absolutely insane. What's up, Pokemon friends? It's PJ here from the Shuffle Squad, and in today's video we're going to take a look at Empoleon V from the Battle Style set and spicing up a couple of newer decks with adding multiple Empoleon V in to try and counter things like Lost Zone Box or anything that has basic non-rule box Pokemon that have abilities that affect the game state. I'm going to take a look at Kyurem added with these two Empoleon Vs to see if it actually works, and we're going to find out today how this pans out. Alright, before we take a look at this deck profile here, big shout out to all of our sponsors for the Shuffle Squad. Make sure you're checking out all of the links in the description below for not only PTCGO store to get codes so you can get these cards and use them in PTCGO or Pokemon the Trading Card Game online. You can also use it in Pokemon the Trading Card Game live if you use that software as well. But you can save yourself 5% off by using code TSS5. Huge shout out to our card sponsor for in real life, which is Atlas TCG. If you check out atlastcg.com and use code TSS12, you can save yourself 12% off. That's the biggest discount that we've seen for not only singles but also sealed product. If you want to catch yourself a few of those and get them mailed out to you anywhere in the world, check out Atlas TCG. And then huge shout out to PokeXword for providing us with all of the awesome puzzles that you can do daily. Make sure you're checking out Guess That Pokemon, which is a new game that they've launched on their site, and you can check that description again below. Make sure you're hitting like and subscribe if you do like the videos that we're putting out here, and comment if you have some suggestions or just want to tell us, hey, this was a great video. So hopefully we can see that from you guys, and thank you so much for your dedicated support to the team. Now, getting into the deck, we do see here that the Pokemon lineup starts with Oranguru. Obviously, in a deck like this, we want to not get rid of our Oranguru here, but use Primate Wisdom. So Primate Wisdom, the ability on Oranguru, is going to be able to put those water energy on top, and that pairs so well with the Kyurem that we have here. The Kyurem uses Glaciated World, so you can get the Glaciated World ability to get those cards from the top, put it onto any of your Pokemon. So it does say one of your Pokemon. You can really put it on a Oranguru if you want to get the retreat cost paid for if you have to switch out, because I know that that's something that I've seen my opponents try to stall me out by putting a Oranguru back in the active. But Glaciated World is such a powerful ability, able to load up out of nowhere, which hopefully you'll see in the gameplay here. But I think that compared to just a straight Palkia is super powerful. Palkia obviously doing its work with Subspace Swell as a secondary attacker here, and then Star Portal, the ability on this, you've seen it, you know, even before the World Championships. This deck was probably one of, if not the best deck in format, so I think Palkia here is obviously a great install into a deck like this. Now, this is also playing some support Pokemon like Radiant Greninja. Radiant Greninja using concealed cards, so you can get those energy in the discard pile and use with some of your supporter cards and get back. And then you could also use this as a secondary attacker. Moonlight Shuriken is a great attack that you can see some game-winning plays done with, and it can load up with Glaciated World too, so you have to keep that in mind. Now, support Pokemon for draw in case you have a poor hand and just need to draw into that one extra card. Crobat's here, so you can use Crobat, and we have the fancy art here from Lost Origin that you can draw your hand until you have a full hand of 6. Now, the tech for the deck here is the Empoleon V. For all those Lost Zone Box decks out here that are seeing Comfy as a heavy count of 4, we shut that right off with Emperor's Eyes as the ability. So Emperor's Eyes is going to shut down all of those plays that your Pokemon that are on your opponent's board that have the abilities that are non-rule box Pokemon, so just regular basic Pokemon. Those abilities are shut right off. You could see how that plays well. There's all these things like escape ropes being teched into the Lost Zone box to get around it. So that's now why we're playing the two different versions. So there's all those plays out there with the Lost Zone box to play the escape ropes to get rid of the Empoleon in the active. I know Regibox was also playing escape ropes to get the penguin out of the active here. So Empoleon V is not going anywhere now that we've tech 2, because we're just switching into another Empoleon. So very important to note. Now if we look at the item cards, we have a 4 of Battle VIP Pass, a 3 of Count in this. You can always up that to 4 for Capacious Bucket. We do have the Energy Retrieval here, so Energy Retrieval can get 2 energy cards out of the discard pile, and if we have both of our Orangurus and maybe 2 Kyurem VMAXs, you can use that back to back and just load up out of nowhere. So I think that's really good. Here's a tech. If you haven't subscribed to our Patreon, you definitely want to check that out too. The link is below. But we talk a lot about Lost Vacuum in decks now for the Lost Origin format, where it's so good. It's able to be utilized in so many different situations to get you out of Path to the Peak, to get those extra damage modifiers like the Choice Belt out of play too. So we do include a Lost Vacuum here. We have our Pokemon search like our Heavy Ball. We have the Evolution Incense. We run a lower count of Quick Ball because we do have those other search items. So the 3 Quick Ball here. We do run 2 Ultra Ball. So finding Pokemon's not hard, especially with the Battle VIP Pass. You have your supporter turns. The Rotom Phone goes really well with a deck like this because even if a Oranguru is not in play, you can use the Rotom Phone to put the energy on the top of the deck and then use Glaciated World from Kyurem VMAX and then just load up your Pokemon. So that's great. Our supporter count is really good here. We do have the 4 of Irida, so you can search out any water Pokemon. Again, Pokemon search. And also an item card. You can get energy out of the discard pile with Melanie, so it runs a higher count of Melanie. Now we do run a little bit of disruption, just the 1 of Marnie in this list. You can also add Roxanne if you like that disruption aspect of a deck. We run 2 Boss to just snipe out or gust up something that we want to knock out with Kyurem VMAX, or maybe even Palkia at that point, stall out our Pokemon. If we're talking about stall, we don't want to get stalled in the active spot, so we do have a 1 of Switch here, and we do have a 1 of Air Balloon. So those are going to get us out of sticky situations where we're stuck in the active, we can't really get out, and those can also be searched with Irida if you don't have them in hand. So you have to think about that too going into a deck like this. We do have the damage modifier for the Choice Belt, so it helps us maybe 1 less energy that's needed for a knockout on our Kyurem VMAX. And then we have a heavy energy count here. So we do have the 9 count of water energy, and then this is a nice include wash energy. Kind of shuts off Sableye from attacking specific Pokemon and putting damage counters on them. So wash energy is great to shut off the effects of an attack. Now you have to remember damage is not an effect. So if something that says it does an attack for a certain amount of damage, that is just damage, not an effect. But if it's placing damage counters, that is an effect. So you have to understand that going into that, but that's why we include the wash energy in this list. So check it out. We're going to play this on the ladder and see how it does. All right, let's get into some games on the ladder and see how we do here. Hopefully we can come up to a pretty decent matchup and see how the tech in the deck actually is working. So we got the going second, which always kind of feels bad, but we do have our Penguin start, so that's pretty good. So I think we're going to lead with the Empoleon V. We can put the Kyurem on the bench here, and then we could use the Crobat depending on how our draws are. So obviously not the best starting hand here, but we can make something work out of this. All right, so we are going up against the Lost Zone box, which is really good, especially starting the Empoleon. We'll see if they have any of the techs that we've seen be played, whether it's Rope, whether it's the Cleansing Cologne. All right, so they are going for the Comfy. Let's see what other type of cards they have. So just putting down the Cramorant. We do have an Energy. That's good too. So we can get rid of the Energy. That's perfectly fine. And then we can start setting up our board state. So you want to look through your prizes here. Let's see, how many energy cards do we have? Yeah, might be missing an energy card. Do we have all of our Iridas? We're missing an Irida. Okay, so I think just establishing our board, getting the double Penguin down. Let's see how that goes here. We are going to have some draw support, so that's good too. We don't necessarily need the Choice Belt because we're going to play into realistically a single prize deck here, I think. We can put that down. The training court, I don't know if we need yet. We could play the Crobat for some extra draw or just wait until next turn. I think what we're going to do is just pass here, hold this hand. I think it's still pretty good. We can do some things. There's the Pokestop. So it's good that we didn't put down our training court, because if we did, it would just get bumped with this Pokestop. So let's see what's in their discard pile. They have another Comfy. Right now they have no cards in the Lost Zone. We're pretty much shutting them down for their Lost Zone engine with the 2 Empoleon in play. So right now the deck's doing its job. I think that it's definitely going to see some play. So we can kind of set ourselves up for success here. We could either use the Pokestop or the Crobat to draw into something that we need. All right, so we've got a Marnie. Marnie seems okay here, because I think if we get one more energy card, we're good. So the Capacious Bucket seems fine too. Putting that on top. Let's go for the Marnie, just because. So we're going to get rid of their Stadium. We're going to go for the Crobat play. And now we're going to draw into another draw supporter and the energy. So all of this seems fine. We can even hold this for next turn, because they're not doing much right there. So we can start to get rid of their Pokemon. So let's get rid of this Comfy here. We can use Swirling Slice. We can just load energy from one Penguin to another. We could put it on the Kyurem. Let's just load from here to there. If they do, for some reason, knock out the Empoleon, we can then Melanie, attach energy from hand, use our training court. So there's a lot that we could do with the deck. I mean, the deck functions pretty well. Empoleon, seemingly a better Pokemon than I thought going into this meta. So there's the Marnie. So we didn't have to use our Marnie. They kind of did it for us, which is great, because there's so many cards in this deck that you really want to draw into. And I think that that's a big factor in a deck that's running high techs. If you could still function, you can definitely still win lots of games. So right now they're struggling because they don't have any way of getting cards in the Lost Zone. They're just loading up the Sableye. And I mean, for now, we could just bench this Palkia, because we might need to load up. They have no way. Let's just put this energy here. We don't want to use our wash energy yet. Got rid of the Cramorant, and we're loaded for next turn. So either way, whether they use Escape Rope or maybe Cleansing Clone, I'm not exactly sure what they're going to be using, but I know that we do have the advantage here on our board state. So they're using Colress's Experiment, so that might be the way that they try to just draw into what they need into the Lost Zone, because they do need, for Sableye to work, the 10 cards in the Lost Zone. So there we go. We got 2 cards in the Lost Zone. Now we got the Vacuum. Now, this does matter. See this line that's here on the screen? Yeah, that's the victory. But the line on the screen really meant that those are our cards in the Lost Zone. The other side is our opponent's cards in the Lost Zone. So here we see, unfortunately, a scoop, but really that's what our deck is meant to do. We're going to take a look at another game on the ladder and see if we can get a longer game for you. All right, let's hop into this one on the ladder, and hopefully we come up to something that will use our Penguins. Maybe just use the rest of our deck here too. That's the versatility of a deck that's built with just a few techs sprinkled in, is that you could use it how the deck normally functions, and then if you come up with a matchup it's teched against, you feel even better. So right now it looks like we're going to have a few Pokemon come out into play here, but the Oranguru, unfortunately, is the starter. Not what you want to see. Almost looks like we're going to be playing a Mew deck, which is very good right now. I feel like Mew is probably one of the best decks, if not the best deck right now, just because it's so fast. The tempo here, how fast your deck is functioning, how often you're taking prizes, is very important when you're playing a matchup like this. And it is looking like a DTE. Man, that was a hand. So let's see if we can kind of draw out. So we do have Irida, and we're going second. So we can do a few things with this setup that we have. We can draw into our Air Balloon. It looks like they don't have any Genesects, which is really good. We can just start to set up our board, and we can get a Kyurem, and we can get a Palkia V and set those up. What we want to do is this, and then we can use Irida. We can get see. Let's go in with a Capacious Bucket and then a Radiant Greninja. Now this is going to allow us to draw more cards, and I think that that's exactly what we want to do. Next turn we can use Rotom Phone too, and also set up just in case our Oranguru does get knocked out. But we can realistically set ourselves up for success for the following turn. So what I want to do here is use Radiant Greninja. Wow, another Battle VIP Pass. This is like the most optimal setup that you can possibly have. We can even get another Oranguru if we want to. And I think that that's a safe play. So we can double Oranguru here. And then we're chilling right now. We've got an awesome hand. We're gonna go ahead and just put this on the top of the deck. And I think that's it. I think we're just gonna pass here and see what our opponent does to respond, because we are pretty much loaded, ready to go. We can Capacious Bucket again. We have the Kyurem VMAX. We have the ability to switch out of the Oranguru and start taking some knockouts. So it looks like using the Ultra Ball on our opponent's side to get the Genesect so they can start to draw, which is really good. That's definitely what you want to see. And a Marnie. Okay, so they do put us out of range of using all of our supporter cards in our hand, even some of our items. So the Marnie's not looking too bad on our side. We definitely need to draw into an Irida to switch out the Oranguru at least, and then get going. Now we could use concealed cards here, so we could draw more cards, see more cards here. We could use the Rotom Phone. Lots of things that we can do here, but we really need an Irida if we're going to start swinging into our opponent's Pokemon. It looks like now that they're getting their whole board state loaded up, they have the 3 Genesects on board, which they didn't have last turn. There's the Pokestop. So this is the DTE Mew deck that's out there. So it doesn't run any Fusion Strike energies. And there we go with a Cross Switcher. Let's see if they can make it happen here. They're going to try to draw into a DTE or a Double Turbo Energy, and it's not looking like they got there. Let's see what happens. Okay, they did draw the DTE. They are going to be able to use Cramomatic here, so I'm assuming they're going for a Choice Belt, and they do get the heads. So that is a little unfortunate, puts us a little behind. Not too terrible, because we can load up with the Palkia too, dependent on how we draw. So I think that Radiant Greninja is definitely the way to go. And it is good that we got the 2 Kyurem V on the board, because it allows us to pivot in and out. Now we have a couple of single prize attackers slash, ability Pokemon, passive Pokemon, if you will. So our board state's looking pretty good, even though we know that we're going to get knocked out this turn. There we go. We got the Techno Blast. They will have to retreat and attack again. And if we're able to set up both of our evolution Pokemon this turn, I think that we're going to be just fine. Okay, so there's one of our 2 evolution Pokemon, so that's what we want to see. Let's try to draw into the Irida. So we need the Kyurem, right? But what do we need more? I think the Training Court is the best way to go. Let's think about that a little bit more. Maybe the Kyurem is the best way to go, because we want to see some things happen. Let's go concealed cards. Get this out of here. Okay. So first things first, let's get this energy out of here. And we can Crobat, I think, for enough damage. Let's put the Choice Belt on. And then let's use Oranguru. Let's use the Glaciated World ability. Wow, that's awesome too. So we can go like this here. Now that was a little bit of a misplay, but I think we still got it. We can attach an energy. Now they don't have Oricorio on the board, so that's absolutely fine. We can Primate Wisdom. I can Glaciated World. We'll go right here. Let's use the other capacious bucket. Still fine. Let's check our energy. So we have 2 energy in the discard. We don't need the other Palkia in this game. So here's what we could do. We could get rid of this Palkia. We can go in and start setting up another Kyurem, or we could put a Crobat in our hand for some draw support. So I think the best thing to do is get the Kyurem, because chances are, because they have the power tab in here, that they're not going to get a knockout. But we can do this. Star Portal is going to load our board right up so we can get set up for next turn. And 3, and we'll load it all on the front of the deck, and we're just going to max frost. So let's count together: 120 and then 50 more for each. So we're doing base 150. Now we're doing 350 damage. Let's hit done. There we go. 350 damage, knocks out a Mew VMAX, and now we're taking 3 prize cards. So looks really good for us. They might take out our Palkia, but our Palkia is pretty much offline. We still have the 2 Orangurus here, so we can still load up with Glaciated World. We can try to draw into another Melanie here to load up our board state, or even the Training Court now. So I think that our board state is really good. They have the Mew in the active. Here's another Mew. So if they put another Mew VMAX in play and swing into our Kyurem, then we can almost safely say that we can take another big 3 prize knockout here, and we're doing fine. So let's take a look at what our opponent's doing. Let's take a look at their discard pile. You always want to do that. So they have 3 Mew VMAX in the discard pile, so they have to play some sort of Silene combo, and I'm not exactly sure if our opponent sees that. So you have to think almost for your opponent in games like these. What are they going to do? What are they going to try to draw into? Really using the Rotom Phones to draw into what they need for this turn. And there's the Echoing Horn. But again, they need a Mew VMAX on the board here. So they're using their power tablets. We can check the game log. What that's nice about PTCGO is you can check the game log to see how many power tablets. It looks like they just have the 1. And there's the Oricorio. Not exactly sure if that's going to matter. I think it's realistically just for draw support here. Switch card. That's definitely an interesting card to see in this deck, but I have seen a few decks run the Switch cart instead of a regular Switch. I don't think that's an awful idea. And there's the victory. We came out swinging with Kyurem out of nowhere and won this game. So, I mean, just shows you the raw power of how this deck can work here. All right, recapping up, this deck is absolutely insane. I mean, the double Empoleon feels pretty good. It doesn't really feel like I'm missing anything out of the deck. It really shuts down those Lost Zone engines with the Comfies. Everything I've seen out there, there's other Pokemon that I've shut off playing on the ladder. I think this deck has some really solid potential, and again, I would recommend this deck for anybody that really likes those beatdown style decks. You're able to get so many energy on board so quick, and the combos are just endless here on how you can load up your Pokemon with energy. As you saw, the Primate Wisdom able to put that energy on the top, then just loading up with the Palkia VSTAR. It felt so good. It really does feel like a top tier contender for all of these regionals coming up. If you're playing a local tournament, whether it's a 1K or online and maybe even the late night series here, I think that this deck is one of the best choices that you could go with for sure. Absolutely try it out if you haven't tried it out already. Either proxy it, purchase the cards, or play on PTCGO, PTCG Live, however you want to do it, but definitely try this deck out. It is a ton of fun. So I'll leave you with that, and we're going to move over to some of our sponsors, so you want to stick around for those commercials too, to make sure that you can check out some awesome discount codes and some awesome websites to check out from the Shuffle Squad. Thank you so much. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and commenting on all of our videos, and we'll see you next time on the Shuffle Squad. The Shuffle Squad is proudly sponsored by Atlas Collectibles, the best place to buy any trading card game product online. Visit atlastcg.com and at the checkout screen make sure to use code TSS12 to save an unbeatable 12% off your entire order. Atlas Collectibles will ship your product anywhere in the world, so make sure you're taking advantage of the 12% savings with TSS12. And if Pokemon is not your thing, don't worry. Go to atlastcg.com and see all the other amazing trading card game products they have there to offer.
The Shuffle Squad is partnered with PTCGO Store to provide our community with the best access to Pokemon TCG codes. They have codes available 24/7, instant email delivery, and you can save 5% off by using code TSS5. If you're a YouTube member or Patreon supporter, you'll have access to a special code that gets you 10% off. So what are you waiting for? Use code TSS5 today and save 5% on your next order of codes on any codes available at ptcgostore.com.
Pokéx Word, the best place to get your fill of Pokemon-inspired puzzles. New puzzles are posted every day, and they recently launched a new Guess That Pokemon puzzle, which is a ton of fun to play. Go check them out at PokéXWord.com and be sure to follow them on Twitter for your chance to win a ton of PTCGO codes every month.
Check out the Late Night Series Season 6, brought to you by myself, Zach Lesage, and the Shuffle Squad. We're going to be running a bunch of sick events for the Pokemon community, and they start on August 30th. So one thing you might be noticing here is that there's an EU time and an NA time. We have one at 12 p.m. Eastern, which works out to about 5 p.m. in London, and then we have one at 7 p.m. Eastern, which should help out a lot of players on the West Coast play in this event. That being said, we still have a lot of cool things going on. Expect similar prizing that we've had for other Late Night Series events. Expect better staffing, expect better tournament experiences, and of course we do have a stream going up for this season as well, and I will be streaming the event on Twitch. That being said, we have the whole season up on the Play Limitless website. Late Night 51 all the way through 70 runs until we hit the Invitational on November 5th. So check that out, sign up today, and support Zach Lesage Events and the Shuffle Squad. See you there.